All right, and greetings, my friend. Welcome back again to the next episode, Red Delta Project Podcast Live Feed Q&A with another video to help you be fit and live free. I'm Matt Schifferly, and before we jump into today's topic, I wanted to give you a bit of an update of some exciting changes coming to the RDP Podcast and Live Feed, because over the past few weeks, I've been, going all helter-skelter with a lot of life changes, a lot of new perspectives about how I do a lot of things in business and fitness and stuff. And just the ripple effects are coming to the podcast here. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is, instead of just doing this once a week on a specific time, I usually do this 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, Mountain Standard Time, because I live here in Denver. I hear from folks saying, "Oh, I want to catch it live, but that time doesn't work for me," or the podcast is only an hour long, or whatever. What I'm going to be doing is instead offering this happening several times a week. This is also a reflection of the fact that I've been having a hard time just simply staying connected and being able to be consistent with doing this. Last 2 weekends, I haven't been able to get this done at the regular time. Next weekend, I'm also going to be unavailable to do it at the normal time. And to be perfectly honest, that kind of gives me a little bit of stress, because I know you folks like to depend on the consistency here. So here's what's probably going to happen moving forward is I'm going to be having probably shorter sessions, about half an hour, but can't hold any promises. I do enjoy doing this very much, so it'll probably get a little bit longer if I feel people are really interacting on a particular episode. And I'm going to have potentially a session in the morning during the week, in the afternoon during the week, and in the evening during the week. And right now I'm kind of looking at maybe Wednesday evenings for my time here, maybe in the morning on like a Tuesday or a Thursday or something. Here's the thing is, my schedule is always inconsistent. It's always all over the place. So I'll put the updates on the Red Delta Project Instagram. So make sure you're following RDP on Instagram and you have the notifications and stuff turned on, because no, I don't put a ton of stuff on there. It's not going to give you notifications every 15 minutes that I take a picture of my sandwich or something like that, but it will give you a heads up of, hey, I'm going live in the next 20 minutes or so. If you want to catch it, by the way, here's the topic. So lots of new fun and exciting things coming to Red Delta Project, lots of ways to help you be fit and live free, and I'll keep you updated as things are developing. So today's topic is how to put the odds much more in your favor of success. Losing weight, building muscle, improving performance, feeling better, getting healthier, whatever your objectives are, these are the simple strategies that you can employ to significantly increase your chances. And the reason why I'm doing this is twofold. One is I kind of get called out a little bit for being a bit of a pessimist when it comes to fitness and perspectives. And maybe it's because I'm becoming a bit of a crummy old man. I'm now in my middle age. I've been training people for over 20 years now. And the simple fact of the matter is, most people don't get what they want from their diet and exercise habits. I know we all like to think we can beat the odds. That's why casinos exist. But maybe, again, I'm just getting to be kind of old and not really fun and exciting or something. Or maybe it's because I'm getting smarter. I don't know yet. But I'll tell you, I don't like to gamble. I think it's absolutely ridiculous for me to go into a casino and put money into a slot machine. Why? Because I know the odds aren't in my favor. I know that that billion-dollar casino wasn't funded from charity and someone just digging through the coins in their couch cushions. Because gambling inherently means the odds are against you that you're going to win money. And so my perspective for a lot of things in life is, I don't want to play games where I'm probably going to lose. I want to play games I'm probably going to stand a better chance of winning. I would much rather have a 1 in 3 chance of winning $10 than a 1 in a million chance of winning $1 million, because I want the odds in my favor that I'm going to win. And the more you do that, then you can win by volume. And when it comes to fitness, the way most people approach it, the way most people approach diet and exercise, means that chances are they're not going to get what they want. And if they do get what they want, they're not going to keep it for very long. I always tell the story. I remember literally the first workout I ever did. The day I took my fate in my own hands and did my first set of push-ups before bed. I was probably about 13 years old or so. And I remember lying there full of self-doubt because even at that age, I knew that chances were I was not going to get anywhere with my diet and exercise habits. Everyone around me, friends, family members, they'd get together. My mom was an aerobics instructor. My dad was always about being active and outdoors and stuff. We'd get together with big family gatherings and friends and stuff in the holidays. And everything I ever heard from people was, I lost some weight, but I gained it back. I went to the gym, but then I lost it all. Or I started to get in shape, but then the work got busy and I lost it. Every story I'd ever heard at that point was, I tried to get in shape and I failed. I tried to get in shape and I failed. Even the success stories where I did achieve success and then I lost it afterwards. So I've always had this rhetoric in my mind based off of both evidence and anecdotal research that the odds are not very good. And yet there are certainly people out there who do have success, who keep that success, who achieve greater levels of success. And when you ask them about it, they're like, it's not really that hard. I don't understand why people have trouble with this. And granted that this whole fitness thing, like anything in life, is a lot easier for some people than it is for others. It's not at all a level playing field. It is a lot easier for some people to get in shape than for others. Some people are going to have to put in 10 times the work for a half of the results, and other people can literally just, wake up and do a set of push-ups and they get jacked. It's not fair. I recognize that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to have it unfair against you. You can put the odds more in your favor. And we're talking today about how you can do that. People coming on right here. Let's see if we can get some questions real quick. Adnan Bosnan, it's good to see you, my friend. They say, if you cannot lose, then you cannot win. Some ancient wisdom. I don't think it works for everything. Yeah, because you do learn a lot from your trials. Absolutely. But sometimes I think in successful circles, both business, fitness, everything else, I think it might be part of our hustle culture that we have a bit of this kind of I want to say we not worship, but we have a bit more too much of a rosy idea of the struggle to get in shape. Like, oh, I'm working so hard and I'm struggling and I'm really, really struggling with this and that. And no, bottom line is success comes from making things easier, from winning as much as you can and absolutely crushing the competition. Don't think fair play is going to win you in life. As Arnold Schwarzenegger said in that commencement speech, he's like, break the rules, not the law necessarily. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to get success anything in life, you want to be focused on getting your victories. Don't pat yourself on the back because you put in a good effort. You win by winning. And yes, you will learn through your failures, but only if you can assess and evaluate that. If you make excuses and be like, oh, the referees were biased, or oh, it's the government's putting additives in the food, and oh, I can't do it because I live in Northern California and I need to live in Southern, whatever excuses you make to not learn from your trials and your shortcomings, then you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So yeah, there's some value in losing, but there's a hell of a lot more value in winning. I've spent way too much of my own life basically feeding my ego by like, look how hard I'm working. Look how much I'm suffering for this. Look how much I'm sacrificing. Look how hard it is. Oh, woe is me. I deserve success. No, you win by winning. How do you get rich? Make a shit ton of money. It's like, yeah, but I'm providing good value and I'm really doing good things in business. Make money. You want to get stronger? Get stronger. I don't care how hard you're working. I don't care how hard you're busting your tail in the gym. And whatever you can do to make it easier is better, flat out. If you can get better results from a 10-minute workout, that's better than getting the same results from an hour-long workout. Every single time. The less you have to work and the less you lose and the less you have to basically beat yourself up about it, the better off you're going to be. Just flat out. There's no value in, making the path harder than it needs to be. Dave Rotman saying, want to give me an idea for potential collaboration? I think Kyle Bogeman, K-Boggs on YouTube would hit it off Fun collab. Hope you're well. Thank you very much. Name rings a bell. I get a lot of folks saying like, "What do you think of this guy? What do you think of that program? What do you think?" I honestly, I don't follow many people at all these days. I'm so focused on my own thing. It's that I'm honestly not doing a whole lot when it comes to what other folks are doing. Adnan is also coming on saying, "Matt, I get sore after dips, but this time I did dips day after I really smoked legs. Next day, soreness was all legs, but nothing in chest and armpits as usual. Weird." So remember, folks, that soreness comes from a novel stimulus, not necessarily an effective stimulus, which they can be one and the same naturally. But when you get sore, there's a couple of contributions to that. The first is if you're just doing something new, a novel stimulus. If you didn't work out or do something for several weeks and then you hit it really hard, yeah, you may be very sore from that. That's just because you took some time off or you're hitting a new exercise that you haven't hit in a while. The other thing, too, that really contributes to soreness is working a muscle in a very elongated or stretched position. And dips are like that because dips really stretch out your chest muscles, particularly triceps too, and shoulders. So when you're working a muscle in a stretched and elongated position, that's going to increase the chances of being sore just because there's potentially more muscle damage, therefore inflammation, and that's what your soreness is. But your body does adapt to that, and it's going to be fine afterwards. So that's the case with the dips. If you did like push-ups or something, you're like, "I'm not as sore." It's like, well, you may be doing more push-ups, you may be doing them more frequently, and you're not getting nearly as much of that work under the elongated or stretched out position, and all that's contributing to not as much soreness. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not as effective. Barjeans, excuse me, Journey is saying, "Does minimalist training and diet will work for me if I train 30 minutes a day every day because I can't push too much due to my shoulder and neck injury?" Okay, so here's a point that I want to keep emphasizing here, which is based on the video I'm going to be coming out with later this week, is that a lot of the advice and the things that run in our fitness culture about how you're, quote, supposed to work out or eat or what would be effective is based on how much work you're doing. And it's like, what if I worked a muscle group once a week? What if I did it every day? What if I worked out for 30 minutes? What if I worked out for an hour? What if I did 4 exercises? What if I only did 1? Yada, 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 right? These are questions concerning how much we're working. And they're going in the wrong direction because your success does not come from how much you work. Work out once a week, sure. Work out every day, yeah, fine, whatever. I don't care. It's kind of like, I use the analogy all the time. It's like saying, "How do I get to the airport?" And I said, "Drive for 35 minutes. I don't know. Maybe you only need to drive for 10 minutes. Maybe you need to drive for 3 hours. But any type of advice we get of like, how much should I do, is not going to tell you what you actually need to do for success. Because it's like, well, I've been told I need to run for an hour in order to burn fat. I need to do these many sets. I need to do these many reps. I need to do this and that. Do not make work your goal unless the actual goal is the amount of work you do. Like, I want to be able to do push-ups for 10 minutes. Okay, great. Then you're doing push-ups for 10 minutes. I want to be able to use the elliptical trainer for a solid hour. That's my goal. Or I'm going to use this run on this treadmill during the length of this baseball game. Okay, sure, fine, great. No, suddenly I'm sideways for some reason. I must have hit some button. My apologies, folks. Let me see if I can get that back around. That's weird. I do not know why that happened. Interesting. And I can't even change things around. Huh. Well, I guess I'm sideways for right now. That is very weird why that suddenly happened. Let me try and rotate my screen a little bit and see if that changes anything. There we go. I'm back. That was very strange. Okay, anyway, so the point is, no, I don't care what you do in your workout, if it's 30 minutes or an hour. That's not the important thing. The important thing is how much you're achieving a fundamental stimulus. What is the objective you're trying to achieve in your workout? So if back to the car analogy, you're like, how do I get to the airport? And I was like, okay, take Route 7 up to exit 15 and it's right there on your right. Well, how long should I drive for? I don't know, drive as long as you need to in order to get there. but don't drive more than that. Don't drive less. You just drive, you put in the amount of work you need to achieve your goal, your destination. Don't base your success off your workload. And that's the first way to greatly increase your chances of success is know what your objective is. Know what your target is. Can you imagine if you were throwing darts with your eyes closed and the only thing that you ever were going off of was instructions from someone who didn't know you on YouTube saying, aim low, just keep aiming low. Just keep aiming low, 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 low. And someone's like, oh, you can't hit a dartboard aiming low. You got to aim high. You got to aim high, aim high, aim high. Keep aiming higher. Higher the better. High, high. Someone else is like, aim to the left, aim to the right. You got all these different opinions. None of that's going to make you good at darts. It was like, well, this guy says to aim high and that guy says to aim low. And that guy says I should aim more for, the direction of the sun or some cockamamie thing. Like all of this advice is based off of correlation versus causation. What you do is you throw your darts and you're like, oh, my darts seem to be fading to the left. I should aim a little more to the right, or bullets or arrows or whatever, right? Getting in shape is just like trying to hit a target. And you can't get good at hitting a target if you're not actually getting good at hitting the target, right? If your advice is always, I'm just trying to aim low or high or left or right or shoot 15 arrows a day or 1,000 arrows a day or whatever. It's like none of that matters if you can't see the target. But you see the target, you shoot your arrows, and you base things off of your feedback, and you're like, oh man, my arrows are all going low and to the left. Okay, then you adjust your sights. Then you adjust your technique. You make your changes based on your feedback, not what is supposedly the best or the optimal way that someone on YouTube or the internet says is the best way to go. You improve your ability to hit your target based off your experience. And that approach will drastically increase your chances of success versus trying to do it, quote, the right or correct way. That's rule number one. Rule number two is give up, or I wouldn't say give up, but don't get attached to the method, but stay true to the objective, your goal, in other words. Okay, so you want to lose weight. Good. So rule number one, don't ever give up on trying to lose weight. Okay, losing weight is your goal, or building muscle, or getting abs, or whatever. Stay on it. The biggest reason why most people fail to get what they want is they give up on trying to get what they want. It's that simple. You cannot build strength and muscle if you kind of haphazardly like, well, I wanted to build strength and muscle, but I gave up on it after a few months. And then a couple of years later, I gave it another shot and I lasted a good 18 months and I gave up on it and stuff. No, you stay on it like white on rice. You're like, I want to build muscle and strength, and you stay trying to build muscle and strength throughout. However, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay consistently married to the same diet or exercise approach. That can certainly change. So someone was like, I want to lose weight. I'm going to do this low sugar thing. Okay, great, fine, good. Start there. However, a lot of times, whatever method we're using, very rarely will anybody ever fit any particular diet or exercise method and take it from start to finish. Like I started this method and it got me to where I want to go. Very, very rare for that to ever happen. Very rare. Most of the time when you have someone who's achieved a substantial success in anything in life, but especially in fitness, and they maintain it, you're like, well, how did you do it? It's like, dude, I've done 1,000 things throughout the years. Like, this is going to be a long story for me to tell you. So when we start to use a method, we oftentimes get married to the method thinking that method is our hopes and dreams of achieving our goal. And it shouldn't be, because chances are very good that method's not going to be enough to get you where you want to go. It's only going to get you so far. It's like traveling along a journey, and you come to a river, and there's a raft there, and you use the raft to get across the river. And then when you continue along, you leave the raft behind. The raft was important along your journey, but you only used it for a part of the journey. You didn't need it before, so don't use it before. You don't need it after, so don't use it after either. Only use it for the section or the parts that it serves its purpose. Same thing with diet, same thing with exercise. Sometimes kettlebell swings are going to be the best thing for you. Other times it's like, yeah, kettlebell swing's not really doing it for me anymore. Okay, then abandon them. Use them just every once in a while when to just keep your hips woken up. Right? Oh, I got into long distance running for 3 years, and then things changed a little bit. Okay, yeah, so don't do long distance running anymore, but you don't give up on the goal of I want to lose weight or I want to have endurance or whatever, right? You stay true to your goals, to your dreams, but you keep switching and swapping things out. But if you marry your hopes and dreams to, okay, all of my chances of being able to lose weight is on this low carb thingamabob or whatever, right? When that starts to pull you out of alignment, it's putting a lot of stress on mind, body, and lifestyle. And like, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Then eventually you may say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this diet. I don't want to do this workout program anymore. So you think, if I give up on this program, that means I have to give up on the goal. No, 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 no. It just means it's time to transition to another vehicle. It's time to maybe put it in a bit of a minor thing. Like all through college, I was ate, slept, and breathed bike racing. And then after college, I was like, okay, I'm going to go and do some other stuff now. I'm still focused on becoming stronger. I'm still focused on building an aesthetic and, good looking physique. I'm still bike riding. I'm still racing here and there, but I didn't give up on the goal. I just was like, all right, I did the bike racing thing for a while, and that was my main thing. Now I'm going to start to get into weightlifting a little bit. So I kept going with the same goal. I was just using different vehicles along the way, but I never gave up on the goal. It's hard to fail at something you never give up on. You just use different vehicles to get there. Fair Enough is asking, hey Matt, any tips on improving my breathing while exercising, especially something like leg raises? I feel that is what's limiting me oftentimes. Yeah, breathing is a skill. You have to get good at it. And one of the ways that I give clients the ability to do this, because can you contract particularly your abs, but keep your diaphragm loose and relaxed? It's a coordination thing. So a lot of times when we're contracting our abdominals and our TVA and our obliques and everything, our diaphragm also contracts, and we do that, and we're not able to breathe very much. So the exercise I give people is a hollow body hold, where you lay down on the floor and you pick your feet up off the floor, and sometimes you can have your hands stretched out over your legs, or some people have them overhead if you want a harder version. But basically everything on your front side of your body is really, really tight. And then with that tension, also breathe while maintaining the tension. And that helps you to develop the ability to have tension in the muscles, but a relaxed diaphragm. And then you can have that coordination carry over to your leg raises and your dips and everything, because it's also habitual as well. Remember, our tension control, which also affects your breathing, is very much just based on habit. So if you get in the habit of always using the Valsalva maneuver and you're always breathing like this, even if you're just, wiping down a table or something, and you're like, gotta really work that washcloth, right? Then you're going to have that as a kind of default neuromuscular programming. So you have to rewire your brain to breathe and relax, even though your legs are going absolutely crazy while you're doing a leg workout or something. It takes practice, but start with that hollow body hold as your warm-ups, and that will start to go with that sort of thing. Gromit Monsieur, where's your energy tea? Yes, my fast lane. I love my fast lane. Basically, it's black tea and stuff, but dude, it is 102 degrees out right now here in Denver. I got me the seltzer water instead. It is not the type of weather for hot tea by any stretch of the imagination. I could go with iced tea, but I was never a big iced tea fan. Philip, it's good to see you. Saying, Matt, what do you think of taking advantage out of program hopping? I kind of seem to need it to keep me entertained enough. Why do you need entertained? Here's the thing to ask yourself. I hop from workout to workout in an adaptive way, depending on my interests. So this kind of goes along with what I was just talking about, my friends. So you can change your diet and exercise habits 100 ways from here till Christmas and still stay on target, so to speak. Because if you're still achieving the same fundamental objectives of your training, then yeah, change your workout 100 million different ways. I don't care, right? As long as you're challenging your work capacity, you're creating a stimulus for hypertrophy. Do calisthenics, do kettlebells, do bands, do high volume, do low volume, work out in the morning, work out at night, do micro workouts, do volume training, whatever. Yeah, sure, fine. I don't care. Your success does not come from your program. It doesn't come from the work you do. It comes from how well you achieve your objective. What is the fundamental objective of your training? And understanding that, because that's why I wrote my book, Be Fit, Live Free, folks. You understand your objectives, do whatever the hell you want. Do you use whatever exercises you want. Sure, fine. But this gotta keep me entertained thing has me a little concerned here. So this is a big issue that a lot of people have with training is they're like, but I get bored. I get bored real easy. I get bored. I need something different. I get that. I've done a lot of workouts where I'm bored to tears as well. And the thing is, boredom is actually an extremely toxic thing for your training. It's not just a little bit of an inconvenience of like, it's kind of a pain in the neck. I'd rather not be bored, but whatever. No, you should treat boredom in your workout as if you just had a compound fracture. If you were running on a treadmill and suddenly your shin bone snaps and the bone juts out of your leg, that's less serious than boredom. Maybe not from a physical standpoint, but boredom is really, really, really bad. Why? It's because, remember, your training, the whole fundamental approach of training is your brain is teaching your body something. Training is real easy. It's real simple. Your body will do whatever your brain tells it to do. It's training your brain that's the hard part. And if you're bored, that means your brain, your mind is disengaged. It's not concentrating on something. And that is basically, I'm not saying your workouts are worthless or ineffective, but the ability to have an effective workout is directly related to how engaged and how much focus and concentration you need to have in your workout. And if you don't need a lot of concentration and focus, you're going to be bored. Now, yeah, giving yourself something new and different is kind of a different way to do that. You give yourself something novel. However, it's not nearly as effective as actually concentrating on doing something better. A lot of my clients will tell me at the end of a session, they'll be like, okay, let's do this and that. I'm like, well, we got 10 minutes left. And they're like, where did the time go? Oh my gosh, that's got to be the fastest workout I've ever had. That's the fastest hour yet. It's like, yeah, because I gave you something to think about. We all know the plight of running on a treadmill, or in my case, it was an exercise bike, and you're watching that clock tick down and you're bored to tears. And it's like, oh my gosh. And it feels like you've been on it for years of time. And you look at the clock and 10 seconds has gone by, right? We all know that. Why? Because our mind isn't engaged. So what would we do? Well, back in my day, we'd have these things called magazines you'd leaf through, so you'd be entertained that way. Or eventually we had these screens that we would sometimes put on. I installed gyms, and a lot of times these new gyms would be like, we've got a entertainment television on every piece of cardio and stuff. And it was a selling point, of course, before everybody had screens that they could fit in their pocket and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want your brain distracted. If you're doing something and you don't need to concentrate, that means what you're doing isn't all that effective. You should have to focus and concentrate really, really hard on your training. That's what training is. It comes fundamentally from your focus and concentration. If you don't have to focus and concentrate, you're going to be bored. Boredom is a sign you don't need a lot of focus and concentration. If you don't need to focus and concentrate, chances are what you're doing is not going to be all that effective. So you should really need to concentrate. And that comes more from my job as a coach. My job is to always give you something to think about. Every single time you do something, you should have a lot of concentration for it. And if that's the case, you should be able to do the same exercises, roughly the same levels of intensity and volume and everything, the same program for years on end and never get bored. Because every time you do it, you're sitting down, it's like, all right, I'm focusing on breathing while keeping my abs tight. I'm focusing on keeping my elbows in or making sure my triceps are engaged more while doing these push-ups. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. Doesn't need to be fancy, but it does need to be something, because the ability to get what you want out of your training is how are you doing the thing to a higher level, elevating it, doing it better. And if you're not concentrating on that, well, you're just kind of running around in circles. You're just doing manual labor at that point. So you might as well just go dig ditches and get paid for it rather than working out. Kirsten saying, I have a torn labrum and some arthritis and inflammation of a couple of tendons in my right shoulder. Do you think that isometric training can be the solution? How long should the sets be? Very good question. I think isometrics would be a great way to go about it right now, but let pain be your guide. Whenever we're dealing with injuries like this, especially compounding injuries like what you have, it's hard to say, but don't do things that hurt. Obviously, I always tell that to new clients. Well, number one, we don't do things that hurt. But I think isometrics would be a great way to look into it right now. And I don't think the length of the set would matter that much. I know you followed up, said for hypertrophy. Typically for isometrics, you want a longer duration of time. 20, 30 seconds is usually a good thing to shoot for. Maybe 45 seconds as well. Basically, you want to burn the muscle out, which can be a little harder with isometrics sometimes because there's no thing telling you have to produce a certain amount of work unless you're using something like an Isomax, which gives you that type of quantification and feedback. But yeah, start with 20 to 30 seconds there, Karsten, and best of luck with the shoulder. I've had a lot of shoulder issues in my past too. I know how limiting that can be for you. Mariano, it's good to see you. Hey, Matt, have you found that light exercises with high repetitions on rest days help increase your work capacity of a muscle? Not necessarily. Again, work capacity is due to many different factors. There's also a mental factor, there's an emotional factor, there's technical factors, there's skill, there's proficiency. Work capacity is dependent upon a number of things. So if you're doing a particular type of training, like training light, with high repetitions and stuff, it may be that you are addressing something that may be limiting your work capacity. For example, a lot of times when we are really pushing ourselves, people get uncomfortable, reasonably, when their muscles start really burning, when they are feeling the crunch of, oh my gosh, things are really getting tough now. Do you have the mental focus, concentration, and ability to say, great, my muscles feel like they're about to rip off the bone. I feel like I got 5 more. Let's keep going. Right? Or are you the type who sometimes I'll train someone who, for whatever reason, they're very, very nervous about pushing themselves. So they'll push themselves to a very, very lukewarm burn in the muscle and then be like, oh, there's no way I could possibly do more. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. So in that case, yeah, maybe the lightweight, with the high repetitions can do it because you can really learn to enjoy the burn when you're doing light rep stuff, lightweight, high repetition stuff. So if it's addressing something that's limiting your work capacity, then yeah, it can help. But if it's not, then no, it won't. Oh, here we go. So teabag. The reason why I don't train legs is because I find the bodyweight leg exercises easy, which is boring. Yeah, so don't do the easy ones. There's always harder, my friend. There's always a harder version. I get that a lot in the calisthenics world. It's like, oh, this exercise is too easy. Like, well, then stop doing it the easy way. There's lots of ways to make progress. There's lots of advancements and stuff. And yeah, some people are just really, really crazy. Some people, they've just got amazing ability. It's kind of almost weird how the body works. I've got some people I work with and been working with them for weeks, and they're still struggling with classic bodyweight squats. And I've had some people who are like complete couch potatoes, terribly out of shape, and I'd be telling them something like, oh yeah, maybe someday we'll get to a pistol squat. And they'd be like this? I'm like, yeah, you can do that? And they're like, yeah, I do like 1,000 of them every day. I'm like, how? How is that even possible for you, kind of thing? So I don't know what you're doing for legs, but bottom line is, yeah, easy is boring. You're absolutely right. So don't do the easy stuff. Find a harder variation. Use the hard stuff. My general rule of thumb is I don't like doing exercises I can do more than 10 reps of. It's like, Matt, can you do 100 push-ups? Dear Lord, why in the world would I want to do push-ups that are that easy? Ugh. No, thank you. So that's always something that I'm always championing, the progressive calisthenics. And I wrote the whole book on that. What else we got? We got Explosive Calisthenics from Paul Wade, Convict Conditioning 2, and that stuff is barely scratching the surface. The thing with convict conditioning that people don't understand, so Paul Wade's Convict Conditioning, 10 steps for each one. And people are like, oh, okay, so there's 10 levels of an exercise. No, there's not. Are you kidding me? That's like barely scratching the surface. Getting to level 10 is like getting to black belt in calisthenics. And any martial artist will tell you that black belt is where your training really begins. It's not the peak of the mountain. That's where you're actually starting the climb. So there's always harder, my friend, always harder. And if you don't know harder, I will help you find it, because there's certainly ways to do that. I know I'm getting off track from the topic today, but you guys are asking great questions. Thank you very much. Casper is coming on saying, my diet seems to be my biggest obstacle in terms of reaching my goals. I want to get leaner. Do you have any tips for increasing my odds of success in my diet? Heard you talking about the 3 Ps. Yeah, so 3 Ps, of course, each meal, plant, protein, portion size. Okay. And the thing to look at is a lot of times when I talk to folks about diet is they're going after the wrong things to do this. I should do an episode on this too. It's like folks often focus too much on the thing that isn't really that important. Like a lot of times I'll have a client come in and like, how was your, food this weekend? How was diet? And like, oh, I had a piece of bread. Oh, it was terrible. I'm like, you're fine. Like you didn't do anything bad kind of thing. Because they've fallen into dietary cultures. Like, oh my gosh, my diet is terrible. I keep eating strawberries. Your diet's not bad, trust me. But we give into this or fall into this idea of like what I'm doing is bad when a lot of times it's not. It's not bad. It's like, oh no, you had a beer on a Friday night. Oh no, how terrible kind of thing. Because we think that a healthy diet comes from the food that we eat, and it's not. A healthy diet doesn't come from what you eat. It comes from what you eat and how much you eat, and also, more importantly, why you're eating it. Okay, someone who has a diet of supposedly, quote, good food, but they have serious cases of like orthorexia and they're obsessive compulsive about food and everything, they do not have a healthy diet. A healthy diet satisfies your 4 fundamental appetites: hunger and metabolic support, hedonic support, and nutritional support. That's what a healthy diet does. Your diet's not healthy because you don't eat bread. Yeah, you're like, well, I don't eat this food, I don't eat that food, and I eat lots of this. Okay, great, fine, whatever. It doesn't tell me jack squat about how healthy your diet is. Unless it's something crazy like I eat 5 dozen donuts a day or something. It's like, okay, there's probably a problem there. But we often are giving into this idea in our fitness culture that your diet, the healthiness of your diet, depends on what you eat. And yes, that's important, but that's certainly not the entire picture. Not by a long shot. If you're basing your ability to eat well based solely off of what you eat, you are way leaving a lot on the table, because that's not enough. That's not, again, that's like saying, oh, my workout is great because I do the correct number of sets or I do push-ups and pull-ups. I'm like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. That doesn't mean anything. That just tells me the vehicle that you're using. Doesn't mean you actually know where you're going. So what I would do for you, Casper, is your goal is to get leaner. Okay, great. Diet is important. Yes. Is that going to be the solution? Hell no. Getting leaner is about calorie balance. And people are like, how do I get leaner? Oh, it's calorie balance. So it's diet. No, that's calorie balance. Diet is 50% of calorie balance. Physical activity, genetics, all these other things are also a big part of the thing. So yes, diet is important, but don't depend entirely on that. Otherwise, you're going to put too much into your eggs into one proverbial basket. And that is another reason why a lot of people have the odds greatly stacked against them, is they use too narrow of an influential support for their success. Like, what are you doing to get leaner? Oh, I gave up on processed foods. Okay, that's probably not going to be enough. I want to build muscle. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this guy's workout program. Okay, good. All right. It's not going to be enough though. And that's where a lot of folks get derailed, is they have one or two things that they're putting all their hopes and dreams on, when the fact of the matter is that you want a multi-influential support system. You want to have as many irons in the fire supporting your goals to have the biggest influence on the fundamental processes that are responsible for your results. Okay? Being lean is not about diet. It's about calorie balance. Diet's a big influence on calorie balance. Yes, it's important. Is it enough? No, probably not. And the more you put all of your eggs in a narrowly defined basket, the more you have to work your tail off to make it work, which means it's not going to be as effective and you're going to have a harder time maintaining it. But it also means that you're leaving a lot of potential on the table, not to mention compensatory habits and actions as well. So look outside the diet, look at your physical activity level, look at a lot of other things that you can implement, because the more influences that you can pull into your plan, the further you're going to go. And the more narrow your influence is, like, I just don't eat bread. Okay, fine. Unless you're eating like 5 loaves a day or something like that, bread's probably not going to have that much influence on it. All right, let's see what else we can do here. Folks, if I missed your question, post it again, please. I don't mean to miss anybody's questions, but they keep scrolling up and sometimes I miss them. Lindog, the He-Man avatar, man, that takes me back. Saying, hey, Matt, what's your thoughts on celebrities like The Rock who are not transparent about using PEDs? Should they be revered for promoting fitness or held accountable for giving unrealistic expectations? Damn, that's a good question. Here's the thing, is comparing ourselves to anyone is always an apples to orange comparison. Even if there's no steroid use or PEDs or anything like that, it's still apples to oranges, because some people, they have a training history, they've got the social structure, they've got resources. Just the simple fact that Dwayne Johnson can afford to have a team of people helping him, not to mention a live-in food preparation team. If I had his money, that's the first thing I would buy. I want full-time cooks. Like, I want someone preparing my food so that way I always have really good food for me. That alone is a huge advantage, right? So when you have the resources of these celebrities, you have massive advantages, even if PEDs are not even in the picture. So like I was saying earlier, when it comes to getting a particular result, some people have got it a heck of a lot easier than others for reasons that are perfectly legal. I live in Colorado, for heaven's sake. Here in Colorado, it's practically in our culture, state culture, to be in shape. We've got Whole Foods all over the place. I've got the Rockies in my backyard. It's practically like weird to not be in shape here. Just the fact that I live in Colorado is a massive advantage for my health and fitness versus someone living in, some state where it's expected that you're going to be 50 pounds overweight or something like that. I train a gentleman who, it's interesting talking to him because he grew up in a southern state that I've never been to, but he's like, yeah, growing up, he's like, it was assumed that you were going to be fat and out of shape. That if you had abs or had any semblance of an aesthetically pleasing physique, it's like, that guy's got amazing genetics. It wasn't part of the culture where he was that you could actually take charge and make your fitness better. It wasn't part of that. When I grew up in Vermont, it was that way. I would go out for a run and people would be like, what are you doing? I'm going out for a run. Where? Why? If I did push-ups, if my friends would be like, what are you, freak? Kind of thing, because it wasn't done. That's why I always refer to it as a fitness culture. Fitness is a cultural thing. Oh, there I go sideways again. Hang on, folks. Fitness is cultural. So just being in the right social group, the cultural group that you're in, is huge. So the bottom line is, Dwayne Johnson has an amazing physique, right? Why? Who the hell knows? Are steroids a factor in it? Probably. Does it matter? No, because you're probably not going to do it. It's an apples to orange comparison. The other thing too is we have to remember that steroid use is still illegal, unfortunately. It's not illegal everywhere. When I was in Japan, I did a spring break trip to Hong Kong. You could get steroids in the local pharmacy as if you were picking up vitamin pills. And we would go out to clubs and stuff, and there'd be like, 15 guys there at the door. Like, it's like, dude, you're 5'3" and 250 pounds with 5% body fat. Whoa, wow, holy smokes, that's insane. It's like steroids were freely available. So you've got someone who's like, why are you big and jacked? You think they're going to tell you it's some and admit to a federal crime? Of course not. They should lie about that sort of thing. And I've long said that the biggest reason why we have detrimental effects of steroid use is that it's a underground thing. It'd be a hell of a lot better for our fitness culture if it was an open thing. So if someone was on steroids, they'd be like, yep, guys, look at me, big body transformation. What'd you do? Steroids. Okay, good. Then it's not so much of a, oh, I bet his protein shake matters, or what's his workout program like? Screw his workout program. He's not big like that because of his workout program. He's big because he's on juice. And that would be more known as like, okay, and then we'd have more of an honest and healthy assessment of sorts of things. But if it's illegal, of course they shouldn't admit to it. They're, not going to openly admit to something that could land them in jail, nor should they. And it's our job to have a knowledge and wherewithal of what we can expect from things naturally, or even under certain circumstances. I mean, the other thing too is steroids doesn't necessarily give you that either. I've known guys on steroids and you look at them and you're like, really? Like, yeah, I've been juicing for 3 years. And you're like, okay. Like, I know petite gymnasts who are bigger than you, but all right, kind of thing. So there's so much of this like idea of like, okay, if I do steroids, this will happen. And there's so many different kinds of steroids and so many ways of its abuse and stuff. But of course, it's all underground, so we can't openly talk about it and get a real beat on how things are actually going. Gromit saying, hey, Matt, what's your thoughts on training 2 days in a row, kind of the same pull-up program that I love in order to facilitate more flexibility in life? Also following that, Marco, do 100 reps for chest, back, legs every day is effective. So again, these are, questions about work. Again, folks, what if I did this much work? What if I did this twice a day, twice a week, twice 100 reps, 100? We're asking about work. These are not effective questions, folks. And I know where they're coming from. I would ask the same sort of thing. But no, your workouts are not effective because of how much work you do. 100 reps every day, chest, back, legs. Is it effective? Pff, got me. If you gave it to 100 people, 100 people would probably get bigger and stronger. 100 or 50 people would get bigger and stronger. 50 people would get weaker and smaller. Some people would get injured. Some people would probably fix their injury and stuff. You're talking about a gamble at this point. Same thing, train 2 days in a row. It's not about the work. I don't care how many reps you do. I don't care how many sets. I don't care how many times. It's about the fundamental objectives. Will 100 reps for chest, back, and legs help you achieve your fundamental objective? That's the question. Only you can answer that for yourself. If it helps you achieve the fundamental objective, then yes, it will be more effective. If it compromises your ability to achieve the fundamental objective, then no, it's going to hurt your gains. And only you can know that and understand that. But if you don't know what your fundamental objective is, then you're blind. Again, folks, oops, that's not what I wanted. I keep pulling out my wrong button. I just totally rearranged my whole gym here, folks. I don't know where everything is. Be fit, live free. The fundamental objectives. This is how fitness works, folks. That took me 15 years to learn the information in this book that you can read in a single sitting. This is how fitness actually works. It's not how many reps and sets you do. It's not how many calories you eat. It's not what your diet is. That's the big correlation versus causation thing. And if you want to increase your chances of being successful, know how this stuff works versus, well, it's probably kind of going in the general sort of direction you need to probably head in, kind of thing. Now, let's get specific about what we need to do. So, effective for what, too? That's the other thing. Well, it's not going to help your swimming speed if that's what you're trying to improve. So more questions like, Blue Note, can one set to failure whole body daily work? For what? But sure, why not? Or maybe not. Who knows? It's because so many things come into play about our ability to achieve an objective. Um, and then many admit to using steroids and never get arrested. I would never do it legal or not. I just don't trust it. I've seen people who've used steroids and it's like, okay, you looked great for a year and now you look like absolute crap. It's like, it's powerful stuff, but I think there's a lot behind it there's a lot that we don't openly know about it yet. And that's where things get screwed up. Bottom line, folks, what's your objective? Do whatever helps you achieve it. Work out every day, work out once a week. I don't care. Work out, 3 exercises, work out 15, whatever. The general ideas out there are probably pretty sound. Work a muscle group 2-3 times a week, probably 12 to 20 sets per week kind of thing. When you get in the general ballpark, you're probably about where you need to be. But there are so many factors that come into play that can compound things. It's 100 degrees out right now, right? So if I'm out on the playground and my objective, let's say I'm going for hypertrophy, I'm trying to burn out my muscles. I'm trying to reach a high state of fatigue in my muscles. That's my training objective. I'm going to do whatever exercises I want. I'm going to do as much work as I need to do or can do in order to make that happen. I don't follow a program anymore. I don't follow a routine. I don't have faith in them anymore because it's 100 degrees out there. If I had a routine that said you need to do 100 reps today, yeah, good luck with that. Outside on the playground, I'm going to do 50 and collapse into the ground because it's god awful out there. So I'm not going to do 100. I'm going to do like 20 and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm out kind of thing. Because the amount of work you do is always dependent upon how much you need to do to achieve your objective. And sometimes that's a lot less. Sometimes it's a lot more. And also just how much can you do? It's very hot out. If I'm outside, I'm just not going to be able to do very much. So I'm not going to do very much. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to force myself to death slog through something that isn't necessary. I'm going to get a couple hard sets in and be like, okay, muscles are fairly cooked. I'm out. I'm heading to the pool. It's like, well, was it effective? Well, I achieved my objective to a fair degree based on what resources and abilities I had today. So yeah, it was. And that's the beautiful thing about the objective approach. Objective approach in fitness changes everything. I know my workouts are effective. I know what I did was worthwhile. And I didn't put in more work than necessary, but I also made sure I put in enough work to make it happen. And so that's where knowing your objective is. Again, that's having your target, as I was talking about earlier. Most of us are trying to hit a target with our eyes closed. And all of our instructions out there in fitness are aim higher or aim lower. More carbs, less carbs, more volume, less volume. Who cares? No, we don't want to base our approaches on that stuff. Because you got somebody clear across the country on the phone just going, aim higher, aim lower, aim higher, aim lower, aim to the left, aim to the right. You're just randomly shooting things and hoping you're going to hit your target by chance. It's much more effective to know what your target is and then adjust your habits accordingly. So I was like, man, I'm working out every day, but I'm just tired and I feel like I can't push myself very much. I feel like I'm kind of overdoing it. Okay, great. Give yourself more rest. Oh, I'm working out this program, but I feel like I can do more. Like my muscles really aren't that cooked at the end of the workout. I feel like I need more weight, more volume, more whatever. I was like, yeah, sure, fine, good. Whatever helps you achieve that objective. That's the objective. Hit it however you can. Use whatever program you want, whatever workouts you like, whatever exercises you like, whatever diet you like, whatever you want. That's going to greatly increase your chances of success. Because if you make the program your goal, well, now you're just hoping to get there by largely luck. And be adaptable too, folks. Be adaptable. That also increases things. Sometimes you should be doing a lot more work because you can. Other times you're going to have to do a lot less. Great. So sometimes do more, sometimes do less. Don't get too dogmatic about things. Having a clear objective, I already talked about that. I'm just going through my notes here. What else am I? Oh yes, last point here, real quick about increasing your chance. Depend on yourself, but don't go lone wolf. So what I mean by that is trust yourself, make decisions for yourself. One of the things that has really eroded in modern society, besides our attention spans due to the internet and stuff, is also just people's faith in themselves to do things. And it's like, I need to know the correct way to do something, and I'm not going to take action until I learn the one correct and have full faith in what I'm doing is right. Well, chances are that's never going to happen. You're going to have to learn from experience. You're going to have to, as they were saying, lose a few times. You learn a lot through falling up short. And it's like, what if I did, let's say, 100 reps every single day of push-ups? Yeah, sure, fine, give it a shot. And after a month, you're like, oh my gosh, my joints are killing me. I'm so burned out. I can't stand these push-ups. Good, okay, now you know. Now you know. Is that helping you achieve your objective of what you're trying to do? No, not really. Okay, good. You know, it's not so much a failure, but now you know. Now modify and move forward. So have faith in yourself, trust yourself, make your own decisions, solve your own problems. But at the same time, like I said, don't go lone wolf. Hire coaches, seek advice from, guys like me. I've got my remote coaching and my micro coaching options over at Red Delta Project for a reason. Seek help, because some people out there do this for a living. My job is to help people do this faster than they can on their own. My job is to know more about what you need to do than you do. And so when you have a coach or someone helping you, that accelerates you far more than you would do it alone. So depend on yourself, trust yourself, work for yourself, but don't go lone wolf. Even if you have just like a workout buddy or something like that. And that will be something that can help you as well. Last couple before we finish off. Dan, it's good to see you, my friend. How are things out there? Sweden or Switzerland you're from? Remind me, my friend. You've got a great park out there, a workout park too. But it says, I just love working out. I feel it works, walks goalless. I typo there. I still use my creativity to spice my workouts. Yeah, be creative, my friends. Don't worry about doing it the one correct right way all the time. It's something that you should be playful with. Have fun. This goes with our focus and concentration again when it comes to our workouts. Be creative, problem solve. Like, oh man, I'm kind of feeling like dips are not really doing it for me anymore. It's like, okay, so what else can we do? What else can you program? Oh, I got to do the right program. No, mess around, have fun with it. Like, oh man, I don't know why, but these 3-minute tests on push-ups are really challenging my work capacity. There you go. Dan is from Sweden. Thank you very much for the reminder. Remember, Dan, I am from America, and we Americans are like, well, we got America, and then we got the rest of the world, and our knowledge of geography and other cultures is pretty mute compared to the rest of the world. So thanks for the reminder. Philip saying, hey Matt, don't you think the concept to be fit and live free might be confusing or hard to realize for beginners or even advanced people? I still kind of struggle putting it into practice. No, it's real simple. It's as simple as saying, have the power to get in shape and do whatever the heck you want. That's what be fit, live free means, is be in shape and do what you want. That's freedom for you. We want freedom. Freedom is one of the most fundamental drivers of humans, is we want to be free. Why? Because we want to do what we want to do. We want to be able to have choices. We want to have options. We want to be able to do things for ourselves. That's freedom. And so a lot of times when it comes to fitness, we come into the world of fitness seeking freedom. Like, oh, I bet if I made myself, more fit, then that would afford me freedom. It would afford me freedom because I would feel better, move better, I would look better. I would have fitness would be a vehicle for freedom. But the problem that often comes up is that our approaches in fitness are so restrictive and confining a lot of times that in the pursuit of the freedom of fitness, we are compromising our freedom of life, freedom of lifestyle. And so be fit, live free is literally saying, have your cake and eat it too. Be in shape, but do what you want. And that's where a fundamental approach, that's why I've called the book Be Fit, Live Free. When you understand fundamentally how fitness works, you gain both of those things. You gain the ability to do whatever's best for you, so you make things a hell of a lot more effective. But you also gain the freedom to do whatever you want. I don't want to go running. I don't want to give up chocolate. I don't want to uh, never eat fast food again. Great, you don't need to do those things. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Chances are very good there's a lot of things you don't have to do out there. So do what you want, eat what you want, train how you want, live how you want. Afford the freedom for that, because it's probably going to be a hell of a lot more effective for that fitness as well. Most of the rhetoric in our fitness culture is that you have to sacrifice freedom for the sake of fitness. And that's why a lot of people will tell me, I'd love to be in shape, but I don't want to spend my life in a gym. But I don't want to worry about working out on vacation. But I don't want to give up my favorite foods. But I don't want to stop going to happy hour with my friends and coworkers, whatever. Lots of times when people have resistance towards pursuing fitness, they give me many reasons, but the bottom line is they don't want to give up freedom. So my approaches are very simple. You don't have to give up freedom. In fact, you'll gain more of it. You'll gain more of it and get in better shape. You'll be fit and live free. It's not an either or sort of thing. It's you get more of both. Philip saying, I think I might overthink my workout. It's easy to do because there's so many pieces and bits and stuff to consider. You can fall down rabbit holes just looking into, well, how long should I rest in between sets, right? Because there's so much nuance to just that. So that's why my methods are, I try to keep things simple. Rest as needed. Again, what's the objective? You base everything off of your objective. Will resting more help me achieve the objective? Will resting less help me achieve the objective? It's pretty obvious when you know what the objective is. I want to improve endurance. Okay. So will having shorter rest periods help challenge your endurance and stamina? Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Problem solved kind of thing. When you know your objective, things become very clear and obvious about what works, what doesn't. It's like, yeah, that's probably going to do a little something, but probably not very much kind of thing. It clarifies everything, makes everything a lot simpler. All right, that's awesome. I'm just checking here to see if I miss anybody. Thank you so much, folks, for coming in. So yeah, like I said, make sure that you follow Red Delta Project on Instagram for the updates on the new podcast format, because I'm going to be doing this multiple times a week, often for shorter bits, periods, and times. And it may not be nearly this formal as well, where I'm, here in my studio and things like that. I literally may just be, out this weekend. I'm going to be on a plane again. I may just be at the airport and I'll just pull out my phone and be like, hey guys, how's it going? I got a layover. Hit me with your questions kind of stuff. Because I like to keep things fairly free form and informal and stuff like that. But make sure you're following Instagram so you get those updates on when those are going, because they're probably going to be kind of impromptu. Don't forget all the books that I was mentioning, all my resources, everything like that, reddeltaproject.com. Be Fit, Live Free, my latest book. I know I keep mentioning it, but that's because this is the absolute game changer for basically making fitness fit your life. Wish I understood that stuff years ago. Would have helped me avoid a heck of a lot of headache and heartache. But that's all at reddeltaproject.com, as well as the micro coaching and my remote coaching. And hey, if you ever swing out here to Denver, you find yourself here in Denver, hit me up. I have in-person coaching here through Capra Bodyweight Training, and it'd be good to see you out here as well. So thanks everybody very much. Appreciate you all, and I will bid you adieu. Stay cool out there if you're in some of those hot sections of the country. I feel for you. It got up to like 120 in some parts of the United States the other day. Yikes. It's getting hot out there, folks. Stay cool, and as always, be fit and live free.